3, 2, 1, go.
Hello. This is Ignacy and Portal Games.
And this is the Podfather of Gaming, Stephen Bonacore. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 239, and we're recording this on June 24th, 2022. Board Games Insider is a proud member of the Dice Tower Network, and
Tom Bassel, search your feelings. You know this to be true. I am your podfather of gaming.
it's true, and he knows it.
I wanted to explain our listeners that these amazing sound effects are not done by Matthew Jude from This Game is Broken, but these are organic sounds that Steven is doing.
And you can watch me doing it if you watch the YouTube version of this at the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel, where I use my hands and my great vocal skills to do that.
So on some episodes, Matthew is complaining on my microphone. On some episodes, he's complaining on Steven being ridiculous. Okay.
He'll probably have to equalize that in some crazy way. Sorry, Matthew. Having fun here. It's kind of funny that I couldn't think of something, so I did that one. I might have even done that one before about Tom. I just finished watching Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. Okay. But maybe that was on my mind, because whatever. Obi-Wan, Anyway, okay, you have not seen any of it, I guess, so we will not spoil it for anybody out there, but it was interesting. Tell us what's happening over at Portal Games.
Over at Portal Games, things are happening. So first of all, we are preparing the pre-order offer for our Gen Con release. Our Gen Con release is a game called Brazil. It's amazing 4X game, beautiful components, beautiful artwork, very interesting gameplay, a lot of Euro mechanism when you gather resources and you build your buildings, but also quite an amount of direct interaction when you build your forces and you attack other players. A great mix of Euro game and 4X game. And the production is mind-blowing. And as I said last week in the last episode, we have to airship copies to Gen Con due to the delays in China, but we will have copies, so we are now preparing the pre-order offer, and hopefully next time I'm recording this podcast will be ready. So as always, you guys know me for years right now. I'm always saying when the pre-order is open, you better pre-order the game before it's too late, because it will for sure be sold out at Gen Con, because we will have only one palette of games. So it is always smart to be board game listener, to have this insider information, and when the pre-orders are open, you just click, secure the copy, so you have no stress before Gen Con. So this is what my team is preparing right now.
How many copies do you think you'll have on your one palette of games? I'm going to take a guess. It's going to be only about 100, because one palette, it's going to be air-shipped. Those are smaller palettes.
So we went for the bigger one because it will be ridiculous. So we will have 240 games, and these 240 games we split in half. So half of these games will be for pre-order. So for all of you, our listeners, and 120 copies will be for people who will be at the show, because it would be ridiculous if you go to the show and you only know that, it was only on pre-order. No. So we split the amount of games. Half the palette is on pre-order for you guys, and half to fight at the floor, to run to the booth.
Thursday, 10 a.m. Get there.
Yeah, I remember from the Gen Cons, I don't know if it is still a thing, they have these VIP badges that you can enter the show 1 hour earlier. And I remember so many stories when the game was on some booths sold out before even the actual doors opened, because there was like only 50 copies or 100 copies, and the geeks were just running to these booths. This craziness of Gen Con, on one hand, it may be frustrating. On one hand, this is part of the joy. This is part of this craziness that this is Gen Con. Once a year, people get crazy.
Yep.
And we love it, appreciate that. So this was happening at Portal Games. Obviously, we have our new releases already released. Gutenberg is getting more and more reviews right now because it was already reviews. Released Batman as well. A very good feedback, a great rating on Board Game Geek. So if you haven't tried it yet, it's a high time to do it. For Gutenberg and Batman, we will be running demos during the whole, of course, convention season, the summer season. So you'll have a lot of chances to play these games. And finally, the biggest news for me, maybe less important for our listeners, but yes, I'm preparing for my trip to America. I will be in America for 4 weeks, the whole month. I'm flying next week to America, so very, very soon. I'm already preparing my luggage, etc., etc. So once again, there will be a lot of meetups with me in America. You listeners need to listen to upcoming episodes to know details, or you follow me on Twitter at Trzewik, TRZEWAK. And the first city, of course, that you can meet me is Dice Tower, like that convention. But then I will be in Dallas for 2 days. So we will meet with the fans of board games in Dallas, in some of the game stores. And then I go to Atlanta. So you can meet me in Atlanta in game stores. And then I'll be in Nashville in the game stores. So check out my Twitter account to know the details. And I'll be in Indiana as well, Indianapolis, a couple of places. So if you are not person who goes to conventions, you are not person who goes to Dice Tower East, you still can meet me in your local game stores. As I said, there's a couple of game stores I'm going to visit and do a meetups. Remember to bring candy, cookies, sweets, because it makes me smile.
And you said that you're flying next week. You're going to be here the week before.
I'm flying. It turned out that due to the connections, I'm flying on Monday, 4th of July.
Oh, so, okay. Okay, it'll be
earlier.
When they hear this, it'll be next week.
Yep.
Yes.
So I thought I'm going to America on 6th, but Mary said there was no connections. I'm going on 4th. So when you guys are celebrating and having the 4th of July, I'll be just landing, super stressed and super nervous.
As you're coming into Orlando International Airport, you'll see fireworks going off, and they'll be like, "Oh, look! They're celebrating me showing up. Look." No.
That could be a case if you know that I'll be super stressed and frustrated, and I'll be rather, oh my God, we are gonna die. But yes, I'm landing on July 4th. So things are happening. Basically, convention season, summer season, preparation for release of the Brazil, and preparation for the convention season. Guys, check out Gutenberg, check out Batman, Everybody Lies, and see me in upcoming weeks in America. Meanwhile,
over here at the Podfather of Gaming, I'm going to give that challenge again to everybody, to a challenge of the week, to go over to the Podfather of Gaming group on Facebook and check out the event that I posted right at the top, Podfather The Cruise, January 7th through 15th, 2023. So you've got like whatever that is, 8 months to commit to the cruise. This is for charity. I am paying for my own room. Every dime that Royal Caribbean would give me back, because that's what they do. If you get a big group, they give you money to do that. Not taking money, I'm paying for my own room. And all of the commissions from these rooms are going to charity, specifically Ukrainian Relief Fund. So it's going to be 8 nights on a cruise to South America. It's going to be so cool. Obviously, leaving out of Florida, Fort Lauderdale, and going to Curacao and Aruba, right literally off the coast of Venezuela, South America. It's going to be an intimate group, a small group. As I've been talking, if I can do 20 cabins, I will be very, very happy, because we'll do a great thing for charity, and we'll have a great time gaming, socializing, maybe having an alcoholic beverage once in a while, things like that. It's going to be fun. Maybe I can get Mary to convince Ignacy to come, but no promises on that. Anyway, I'm excited about this. I really am. So if you've got some extra vacation time and you want to do something with a group, decent size, not like the Dice Tower Cruise, which is a huge group, and that's a great cruise, or BGG at Sea, which is a very big group, a little smaller than Dice Tower, but a great cruise. If you want to do something with a more intimate group, hang out and spend time with me and a whole bunch of other like-minded people, come check out Podfather the Cruise, January of next year. All proceeds, net proceeds, will go to charity. What else do I have here, Ignacy, for everybody? Yes, so I talked about last week that I, co-hosted Origins TV. I've been mentioning that a bunch, and it went amazingly well. It really, really went well. With the all those interviews I did and some other silly videos that I did, piped around the convention center. We will make changes for next year to make it even better. But I will talk to them about doing so. If they invite me back, that would be kind of cool too. We'll see about that. But it went very well. I'm going to be putting, by the time you hear this, all of my interviews with all of those companies and my silly videos, and they number around 30 to 35 individual videos, all of which are between a few minutes and 15 minutes. They're all going to be up on my YouTube channel. So please go there and check out. You'll get firsthand experience at all the new games I saw when I was there, from the smallest of the small companies to all the big companies. And my interview with Luke Petterschmidt, I can't mention him enough, and Office Dog, the new Asmodee studio, is up there, where he talks about independent designers being brought in, could be you listening to me right now, to bring game designs to him, and they will add in one of their amazing IPs onto that game. All of those electronic game IPs that they just bought from, that Embracer, the parent company of Asmodee, just bought. You can be a designer of Tomb Raider, the board game. I'm making things up. I don't know which ones are exactly available, but something like that. And there's so many of those huge IPs that they are now allowed to use. Check out these interviews. I'll give Luke Petterschmidt's email address and Twitter account again at the end of the show, so that you can reach out to him if you've got something. Listen to the end of the show then. We want to mention at Dice Tower East that Ignacy's going to be there. I'm going to be there. We're going to do a Board Games Insider meetup. This will be the first time, Ignacy, since 2019, maybe 2018 that we've done it. I think I don't even know if 18, right? You weren't even there in 19, right? Saturday at noon, right outside the main tower. If you've been there before, you can't miss us, right? There's the main tower. You go toward the center area where the pools are, at the Carib Hotel, and you come out, and on one side or the other side, there's tables. We're going to set that up. Well, I'm going to buy pizza and soda and beer if I can sneak it in. And we'll have the World Board Games Insider Crokinole Championship, where right now Ignacy has won one and the Podfather has won one in a very big upset for the first one. So hopefully I can do it again. I think I'll do it again, Ignacy.
I would say 50-50.
Yeah, well, there's two of us. That's not a big stretch. Anyway, right after Dice Tower East, I have a few days at home. I fly out to Houston to then get to Galveston, Texas, to go on BGG at Sea. That great cruise. Can't wait. BGG at Sea has not run now in 2 years because of COVID. So they're getting back and doing a great cruise out there. Jeff Anderson runs a great cruise. He's the one running Podfather the cruise for me. So that's going to be a fantastic time. Hopefully I'll see you there. From there, basically directly, I go home. One day later, I go to the World Board Gaming Championships out in Pittsburgh area of Pennsylvania. WBC has been running for 40 years or something like that. This is just, you can play in great tournaments, but I'm going to be playing open gaming with my buddies from New Jersey there. And from there, I fly directly to Gen Con, and I'll meet up with Ignacy there. And that's always a great time. I'm already organizing some great things I'm going to do there. One of the things I'm going to do there, I've been speaking to Roberto Di Merio of Ares Games, the co-designer of War of the Ring. He and I will be playing together War of the Ring, the card game, his new release, which is not released yet, but he's doing publicity for it. So he's going to play that with me in his booth at Gen Con. And of course, I will be publicizing this. Of course, this game might beat my number one game, might be my number one game. Definitely will be in the top couple for this year. I can't imagine it's not going to be up there. So That's going to be fun. And then I collapse from all this travel.
This reminds me that 2 weeks ago I played the Battle of the Five Armies again, and I won. Absolutely love the experience. A very dramatic game. So if you guys like the simple games like a Risk, but with the card play, with the smart and new design, with like this new approach, and combined with this amazing thematic approach, make yourself a favor and buy this game because it's a blast.
Yeah, Battle of the Five Armies is quite, it has a DNA that is shared with War of the Ring, but it's quite a different game. It's much more of a tactical game than a strategic game, if you know, right? How
Yep.
epic War of the Ring strategic decisions you make, where Battle of the Five Armies are very tactical. Things happen and you got to react quickly to go for certain areas and things like that. Both games, excellent games. Ignacy, in the meantime, let's get to the event deck. All right, so the first thing we have here is really all on you, Ignacy. You put this up here. It's about a major Polish publisher. And as I click on the link, I see a lot of language that I don't understand. So you better talk about this.
Yep. And this is the time I always have this problem that on a regular, I try to be silly, be funny. I'm always making some jokes, but this time I want to be very, very serious because it's a very serious and sad news. So this time Ignacy is not silly. One of the major publishers in Poland called Lacerta suspends operations. And why it is important and why I want to cover it in this worldwide podcast, because Lacerta is seriously was one of the biggest publishers in Poland. I will just list a couple of games they have in the catalog, so Steven can see the gravity of the problem. They got in the catalog Agricola, and they have Azul, and they have Great Western Trail, and they have Blackout, they have Caverna, they have Le Havre, they have Magic Maze, they have Patchwork, Puerto Rico, New Dale, Power Grid, Spirit Island. These are like games from the 100 top of Board Game Geek, the milestones of board gaming, like Puerto Rico, like Agricola, like Azul, and they are out of the business. So this shows the gravity of the news. Of course, in Poland it is extremely wide discussed, but I wanted to share with you this news, like to present the super clear fact that indeed we are living in a very difficult time for the publishers. The logistics problems, the increase of the prices in China, the whole problems that are not like the publishers are doing some fake news just to increase the prices. This is a very difficult time for the publishers, and one of the biggest publishers in Poland didn't make it. They made the official statement. They presented the situation that due to the increase of the price, due to the problem of logistics, they have to suspend operations. And we have one of the biggest publishers in Poland saying, we give up, we cannot do it any longer with such conditions. So once again, I know this is news about the Poland, but it shows how this big mess in China influence our hobby. And it is a clear fact that this is not some, as I said, fake news that publishers are making to increase prices. We are in a very difficult moment for our industry.
And in the bigger picture, it's a mess in China. It's a mess, global logistics crisis that has occurred, spurred on by COVID. The whole thing kind of like fueled by the whole COVID pandemic. So Ignacy, it's funny. I never heard of the name Lacerta, and I thought a lot of those games that you mentioned would have been with Asmodee Poland, which is like the old Rebel games,
yep,
right?
Yep.
So
yep.
I'm surprised. I guess Lacerta, which by the way is a famous designer's name, but that's not the same person.
So Lacerta. So that's why I said it. So Lacerta was a company founded in 2006. And they had these ongoing contracts with these publishers, and right. They kept the rights. So exactly, but what is happening right now, as you can now imagine and predict, Asmodee Poland is taking these games now. So Asmodee Poland is now being a publisher for these games. But so far, they signed these games many years ago before Asmodee Poland, and they kept these rights. But even having these amazing titles, they couldn't make it. So once again, guys, please understand. If publishers have some troubles, it is not made up stories. This is a really, really difficult times for us.
Very, very interesting news. Andre Kiernan steps down as Asmodee's U.S. head of distribution. And Steve Buckmaster has been tapped to fill his role. These are pretty big names over at Asmodee that are moving around. Kiernan had been in the role of U.S. head of distribution for 5 years, during which Asmodee USA saw continuous growth. Buckmaster, who is currently the global head of distribution and the former general manager of Asmodee UK operations, will act as U.S. head of distribution in the interim. Andre was key in building the Asmodee USA distribution business, bringing in quality products and introducing amazing services to our retail partners, said Buckmaster of Kiernan. We plan to continue and build upon his work. While Asmodee searches for new head of distribution, Buckmaster will dedicate 50% of his daily time toward the U.S. distribution business. It doesn't mention why. It doesn't mention that he's going someplace else within the company. I thought it was very interesting news, though it doesn't affect any given gamer at all.
Yep, it is just kudos to Mr. Kieran from the start when Asmodee was distributed by Alliance. You guys remember this a couple of years ago?
Of course.
Till building one of the biggest distributor companies in America. He did outstanding job. So as Steven said, we don't know if he stays in the industry or he moves to the different industry, but definitely he did amazing job building this company from scratch.
Right. So I believe it was last episode, where we talked about the Embracer Group, which is the parent company of Asmodee now. They were going and getting financing externally, very normal thing, to continue growing Embracer and all of their electronic and physical board gaming companies. And they were raising $1.05 billion to do so.
To buy Portal Games.
To buy Portal Games, potentially. You never know. I think that's a good price. You should start when they come to you, say, I know you just raised $1.05 billion. That's my opening bid. My opening offer. There you go. So this is interesting. So they have to they're defending the raise of this capital because this capital is coming from a Saudi investment. Lars Wingfor, CEO of Asmodee and Dark Horse parent Embracer Group, has released a letter defending the company's decision to raise $1.05 billion from Savvy Gaming Group, an arm of Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth public investment fund, which invests funds on behalf of the government of Saudi Arabia. Wingfor made the following points in his letter. Prior to the Saudi investment, as a public company, Embracer had institutions from other non-democratic countries in the Middle East and North Africa and Asia as shareholders. Savvy Gaming Group has investments in Embracer's competitors and has ambitions within gaming that are genuine in supporting the global ecosystem for our industry that are consistent with and important the values and cultures of our industry. Important too, I assume, is missing words there. Embracer required additional capital to support its plans to stay an independent company headquartered in Sweden, and Savvy Gaming Group was one of, quote, only a handful of players in the world providing this type of sizable long-term equity capital. Current management controls a majority of the votes in the company and will continue to run the company as it has in the past. So all of this is in response to Saudi fund coming in and providing the funds. And the criticism, of course, has been of Saudi Arabia that they have had massive violations of human rights, and the most notable one in recent history, air quotes, was that of Jamal Khashoggi in 2018, who was allegedly killed under the orders of the King of Saudi Arabia. I forgot his name. So this is one of those very political kind of news stories. We're not going to get into the politics very much here at all, of course, but it's very interesting that they're investing in the game industry. They're investing in Embracer. They've got a lot of money to invest. They're doing that, but Embracer holds all of the cards. They send the money over. We still manage the company. You have no say in the management of the company. This is the way business is run. sometimes you take money from people that aren't necessarily the greatest actors on the planet.
Yeah, I don't have any more comments. I was indeed surprised the last week when we were covering the news, and it was mentioned that it's from Saudi, and I was like, Sweden company taking money from Saudi Arabia, like what the hell is going on? But I didn't comment. Now we have a bigger commentary from Embracer. As you said, they needed money. They found somebody who wants to invest, and they took it.
Right, and and they maintain all the control of the money and the business. So here's a very, very good friend of mine. People, in the category of people on the move in the game industry, PSI, our friends, are hiring John Thays, and Dan Rowan becomes the vice president of Imagination Games. So John Thays is an awesome person. Him and his wife have been integral in being part of running of BGG Con and BGG at Sea. They're parts of that under Jeff Anderson that I've talked about just in the top of this episode. And he is now moving, they literally moved over to Colorado, and he's now moving over to PSI as their new director of business development. Thays has been leading Board Game Geeks BGG Cons for the past 15 years, partnering with creators, publishers, and consumers each year. Thays also has a 20-year professional history in financial services industry. Sounds familiar. That also, I had that. At PSI, he will be in charge of their business development and vendor management teams, as well as foster publisher relationship through various stages of partnerships. And Dan Rowan has joined Imagination Games as their new vice president. Imagination Games is a subsidiary of Imagination Entertainment, which launched the Battle of the Sexes IP across multiple platforms. A portfolio of their games was acquired in 2010 by Spin Master, which includes Fact or Crap, Urban Myth, and Would You Rather. These are all mass market games. Rowan had previously held leadership positions as senior director at Ultra Pro, big company, as well as founder and president of Playroom Entertainment, also big company, which was acquired by Ultra Pro in 2016. So kudos to both of these gentlemen for these new great positions. And John, who is just a lovely person, I'm so happy for him to be moving into even a bigger role within the industry. John, good luck to you and Lainey in your new home as well in Colorado.
Congratulations. I don't know him personally, but it is always good if you go. And PSI is a great company. Like, we work with them for many, many years now. And this for sure is a great place to work at. So congratulations.
Excellent. Ignacy tells me you covered the last story. We did not. We just said that it was nominated. We didn't say that Zauberberg won the Kinderspiel des Jahres, because it was only announced this week. Yes, we announced that it was nominated.
Okay, maybe we announced
that that I interviewed Alex Yeager from Amigo Games, an industry icon, Alex Yeager. I interviewed him for Origins TV. And in fact, again, another plug here, you can go watch my interview with Alex Yeager on my YouTube channel, and you can see what Zauberberg is all about. It's a really cute kids game that uses gravity, marbles and gravity, to play the game, where you have to move the witches to go in front of the marble before they go down to the bottom and stuff like that. They have good witches and bad witches. It's adorable. I don't know how to translate Zauberberg into English. It must mean something about...
Zauber is a sorcerer and Berg is a city, I guess.
Oh, Sorcerer City. Look at that.
Something
Thank
like
you.
That, I guess.
I love it. I should have looked it up myself, but you're right. That sounds like it should be exactly right. So Witch City or Sorcerer City sounds great. Congratulations to Amigo, Alex Yeager, and Zauberberg winning the Kinderspiel des Jahres. This is the children's game of the year. It always gets announced first, and then we'll get the Kenner Spiel des Jahres and the Spiel des Jahres. Spiel des Jahres. I say it wrong every time. We'll get that, I think, first week in July. All right, Ignacy?
Yep.
Now we'll go on to strategy and tactics. First question we have here from our listeners and viewers is from Eric. He's at Chewy. He's given us questions before. We kept saying that the board game bubble will burst, but it still hasn't. And it's not looking like it will anytime soon. increasing number of new gamers introduced to the hobby? If it does, which type of companies will you think will be most affected? Like the large Asmodee Watsies or the smaller publishers? So he's using a premise here. First of all, he's saying it hasn't burst. Probably that's a true statement. But if you think about it, we have had shakeout already. You just mentioned a very large company, right? A competitor, friendly competitor of yours, who is out of business. We've talked about companies in the US, like publishers of like Orleans here, Tasty Minstrel Games. Yeah, sorry, brain fart. They're out of the business. So there is shakeout. So I think the obvious answer here is that the small wait a minute. Small and big companies have been affected by this, but on the net, it's always going to be the smaller ones that have bigger problems navigating a storm such as this. Ignacy?
Yeah, it is a very difficult question because I kind of agree with you that on one hand, it is obvious to answer that the smaller companies have more difficulty to survive. On the other hand, a small indie publisher who has, maybe small but loyal base of fans, he may survive, these difficult times just, selling 2,000 or 3,000 copies of the game without, making a big print runs, but he has these loyal fans. So you don't know. I guess the company who does it right and have these good titles, have these loyal fans, will survive, and the other company, not depending on their size, may be in trouble. So this is difficult. Obviously, we want all to survive. We want all to be in a good shape, but definitely some things will be not such beautiful as we wish in upcoming years, and we don't know what will happen.
One of the things you learn in business school, one of the first things you learn is that while you, human being, have a life expectancy, you will die. Companies go on forever, unless, of course, they go out of business. They either go bankrupt or they decide to stop business. So companies have a way, a natural course that they will survive over time. It's their nature, but they have to be well managed. If companies can survive what has just happened, which I colloquially, I can't say that word. I use the term container apocalypse, right? This huge logistics crisis. If companies can survive this and COVID and zero sales for a month during COVID early, they'll survive. They have to just act smarter. You constantly need to rethink your business to survive. That's an important key. And again, as I say these things, during my interviews with the bigger companies at Origins, besides looking at their new games, I asked each one of them, how have you had to reimagine your business over the last few years due to COVID, due to the number of companies in the industry? And each one of them came up with various answers on how they changed their business model, how they got smarter, did things differently. So again, you can go listen and watch those interviews on my YouTube channel.
And this is very important what you just said about adjusting to the situation and changing. And my employees here, I teach them quite often that don't take it for granted that we will survive, that we are Portal Games and we are immortal. No, don't take it for granted. Do your best and think and think and think. And when you look at the history of Portal Games, and our hardcore fans know this history, I started doing role-playing games. And then I said, okay, the board game market is bigger. Let's change, let's reshape, change some gears. And we started doing board games. We were doing board games in Europe. And then we changed the gears and we started doing games for the America. And then we changed the gears and we built the distribution in America. And then I found the Portal Games Digital just to have the income from the different source. Like this company compared to the company that was in 1999 is not only bigger, but it has a different business model because I was adjusting to the situation. And every month, every half a year, when we discuss what's next, we are adjusting, we are thinking. And it is always the same month. Sometimes I show my employees the other companies who are no longer in the business, whatever they are, like publishers of the great science fiction books or publishers of the board games, say they were confident and they are out of the business. Be smart, think, and don't take it for granted we will survive. And so far we are good, but it is not that simple. You just have to think.
Great advice. Very good. Everybody out there, listen to Ignacy. Daniel Lundberg, he's at DaRedH89. A big movie company in Hollywood wants to make a movie based on a board game. Because of your knowledge and expertise of the hobby, they hire you as the head of the project. What board game do you choose? Remember, they want something they haven't seen before, something fresh and new. Which actor or actress do you demand that should be cast for the movie? Well, first of all, Daniel, I'm not working. I'm retired. I don't do these things. But if I was, or Ignacy was, Ignacy, what?
Yes, when I was thinking about this question, there's a couple of obvious choices, and I'm not going this direction. So I could say Twilight Struggle and make amazing Cold War spy movie. We could do, of course, Terraforming Mars and do amazing science fiction movie about the planet. But because Netflix or other platform need something brand new vision to attract the customers, so I would go probably with the Site. The Site was this mind-blowing visuals, mind-blowing artwork. This amazing cost of these big mechs. So that could be amazing, a very interesting science fiction movie. And so I would go with the Scythe.
This is hard. I mean, it's obvious. Literally, I was just going through like games in my head, like, sure, yes. It's like every one of them is, because, when Hollywood gets something, they go big and they just go, Twilight Imperium, that universe is so rich that Fantasy Flight has created. And yeah, it's just science fiction. But if you think about it, it's so, a 4X game, if you're doing all the 4Xs and doing that and showing that in a movie, there's so much stuff you can show there, because then you'll be showing the exploration portion. Oh, look at that. We found another world. The what is it? Explore and the expansion, right? You expand, you explore, you exploit resources, and you exterminate, right? That's the 4. And and you can have episodes even using those terms. And that would be so interesting. And then, of course, you would bring in each one of the races. Sometimes they get along, the politics cards, right? Sometimes they're allied. Sometimes they're not. And then they bang into each other in various ways. And
I think that just in the case, guys at Netflix listen to our podcast, maybe we should remind our email address so they can contact us and ask for the script.
Hey, and maybe Daniel Stam can direct it, because Daniel, I think you listen. I'm pretty sure you still listen. I hope you are.
Absolutely, yes.
This is something you should direct for us. He has what actor or actresses would we want to cast? Everybody. all the big ones. You have to have the biggest names. I can't think of anybody. Too hard, man. It's a hard question. I like serious actors. I don't like just names. I like the ones that really, they bring emotions to things. I'm a big fan of drama, not personal drama on the screen. So I love that. So people who can bring the emotions, I want to see that. Here's a bonus question. Since you have so much knowledge of the business factor, thank you.
Now you're talking.
What country do you think has the most board gamers per capita? Is Germany the obvious answer? I know it might be a hard question, but maybe you should have an idea where the sales are the biggest per capita. We can answer this. Thanks for the great podcast, and thanks for everything you do. I know the answer to this, or at least what people say. Ignacy, do you know the answer?
Germany.
It's not Germany. It's close. I believe they're number 2. The Netherlands are number 1.
Okay.
I'm at least that's what people have said in the past. The Germany is very, very close, but the Netherlands.
It makes sense because when I see at the print runs for my games in Netherlands, considering how small this country is, with the whole respect, obviously, these numbers are pretty impressive. You are right.
Right. It's just much more. I don't know the population, but on a just per capita, right? Number of games purchased, number of games, purchased versus the total population.
Good call.
You end up getting a bigger number. So Netherlands followed closely by Germany. I think that's 1, 2. So thank you for those very intriguing questions. Melanie Cogdill, good friend. She's at Board Game Fangirl. She's awesome. Now that Steven is retired and the main marketing info on a game company is about Portal, yes, we talk about Portal as the main marketing portion of this, have you all considered having an occasional guest on the podcast? For example, another board game company owner of the same size to join you two to give some of their insights into the industry. So Ignacy, we did do a little bit of that, right? I was doing a little bit at one point. I think I had Zev on. I mean, it's like episode like 50 or something like that. Really a long time ago.
Couple of years ago, we had this model. I was interviewing designers. You were interviewing publishers. We did it for a couple of episodes, and then we got tired.
It's hard work because you have to schedule around them. You know, it's just a lot of work, Melanie. I think it's great, and who knows? Now that I'm so good at interviewing people on my Origins TV thing, maybe we'll bring that back, or maybe I'll bring it back to do some work for my YouTube channel. I mean, it's a great question. I really enjoy doing that, of course, and I enjoy doing both. It's funny. I enjoy doing the smallest companies because they're so excited, whether they have something or not. You could see that passion. I see me in them. I see exactly the way I was in the middle of the 2000s, and thinking like, I could do this. I could. Okay, I'm going to start this in like 2009. I'm going to make this happen. And I made it happen. So I see that. And then with the big guys, you see this vision. You know what the great work they're doing, great games they're bringing out. And I love talking to them because they're all good friends of mine, and they've been through the same exact experience. So who knows? Maybe we do that in the future. Thank you, Melanie. Tim Densham asks, he's a Hello Cat 6. How many games did either of you publish before you felt comfortable as a publisher? When did you feel like you hit your groove? I'm about to publish my third game, and I feel like I'm still chasing my tail. Oh, that's great. So he's Hello Cat, and he's chasing his tail.
He's a Hellcat.
Oh, Hellcat. I said hello. I added a, thank you for that. I added an O in there. He's Hellcat 6. Do you know the Hellcat is a very fast car in America. The Dodge Charger has a Hellcat package with 750 horsepower. It might be able to beat my Corvette, but maybe not. Ignacy, it's a great question. I mean, when did you feel, yeah, I got this thing?
Yeah, this is very great question, but it is very difficult because we started in different times, in different situation in the industry, before Facebook, before Snapchat, before YouTube. So before I felt comfortable that we are okay, that we are growing, that I know what I'm doing, that I have my fan base, it took years. It would be so much easier these days when I can do 1, 2nd, 3rd Kickstarter and get this fan base, get these fans, meet them at Gen Con, do YouTube channel. Back then, I know that you guys are smiling right now, but back then, 1999, when I started, there was no internet technically. Oh yes, there was emails, but yes, we had a website and we had email, and that's all. There was no social media. So of course, for such a traditional building a business, traditional marketing, printing some ads in the magazines, like it was ridiculous, different times. It took us years to feel comfortable. So it's very hard to answer this question because it doesn't reflect today's state of the industry.
Yep. There you go. I'm gonna state that it was not until 2012 finished that I became who I could be in this industry. I needed to start running the company on my own. I had started with a partner. I needed to start running the company on my own, come out with an amazing slate of games in 2012, both internal and external. That was the year for Core Worlds. That was the year for Panamax. And I'm like, yeah, I can do this. This is something we can do. I can do. Bring people to bear to help me do it. This is the time that we're going to make a big splash in the industry, and I think we did. Thank you for that. And now we got to move on. Let's get over to playtesting. So Ignacy, first of all, you put the wrong episode number in the last play testing thread. You did it was 237, it was 238, because we're in 239. So make sure you write 239. You understand?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
With one episode, I know why you did it, because one episode we didn't put a play testing in because, well, we had technical difficulties, but this is 239. All right. So last week, Ignacy, you asked a great question, was what special sessions would you like for a game designer to do at a convention? Do you want them to do game signings, dinners, drinks, seminars, play against them? Create some ideas for game designers when they appear at conventions. So what did our fans come up with?
Yeah, I picked the answer from Eric Lagenbeck. And he said, well, I do love hearing about the design process and everything like that. That might be better on video and or podcast. And he says, if I do go to a convention when there is a game designer, I'd like to toss some money at his latest game, get it signed, and say hello and how I enjoy his games and give some cookies. I assume this game designer likes cookies. And this is a great answer on so many levels. And I want to bring from that even some advice for the game designers and publishers. This is true that when I am a guest at the booth on various conventions, people are more likely to spend some money because they want to have a game signed. They want to have a selfie with the designer. So what we discovered at our company, Portal Games, and that my book, Board Games That Tell Stories, is a perfect product to have at the booth. So people who already have the games or maybe don't want to spend, $50 for the buying a game just to have a signature, but buying a game, buying a book, $20, have a signed by the designer, have a selfie with the designer, have something to remember from this convention. So it's a great hack that we discovered. And now for every convention, we bring a couple of my books when I am at the convention, and people have a great time. And then they have something to remember from the convention. So this is the great answer and great advice for all the designers and other publishers. Have something that people can buy and have something to remember from the convention. And then I have a answer that I picked from the Kurt from Belgium. He said that he likes panels. I think a panel with a couple of designers talking about game design, telling anecdotes and answering questions from the audience might be something I would love to see happening. And I have to admit that, yes, when I was at the panels, it is always so much more interesting. There's so much more energy when there's a couple of dudes, couple of people giving answers. Most likely we argue with each other as a designer. We have different approaches, so it is most interesting for the audience. So I confirm that the panels, when there's a couple of designers, are always most interesting. And Kurt says, for me, I also would love to play a role-playing game with Ignacy as a game master. That would be awesome. Obviously, playing role-playing games requires a lot of speaking, and my English is not super awesome to run actual game of role-playing game. So I'm not sure if it's happening anytime soon of me running a game. That were my picks of your answers, guys.
Yeah, and I think panels, by the way, was by far the biggest. I was kind of hoping that people would give some really kind of different things, but we had both Sarah Reed, big fan of the show. She said a huge fan of panels. Jim Brown, interested in a panel with designers to discuss specific challenges they overcame during the design process. And Linda Baldwin immediately jumped in right after that, said that, you're definitely not alone. I love panels, particularly those regarding design challenges. So challenges were huge. Jim Brown says, I'm a sucker for getting games signed. This also led me to buy some games that I don't get played much, just because I'm rooting for the independent designers who made their thing and brought it to the marketplace. Thank you, Jim. That's a very nice one. And Brett Nowicki, I like playing their games with them when they are either running a demonstration table at a booth or on the floor where there's a few tables set aside for designers to show off their games, play, and talk about them. So there's a lot of, really good answers here. None of them are earth-shattering. I think there's one where it says going out and just informal chit chats. I was hoping someone would say we're going to go to an amusement park or something like that. No one came up with an idea like that, but these are all really good ones. I like them. I like them very much.
And I have an announcement at the Dice Tower East. I will have a panel, my top 10 failures as a publisher. and I will have a game that I want to sign for you. So meet me there and bring some cookies.
You are going to get some cookies, by the way. This is a little, I'm not sure I should tell you this or not, but I was texting with someone yesterday and they said, I'm sending you a box of cookies to give to Ignacy. And I'm like,
I appreciate it so much.
but he's going to be there, but he's coming from way out of state. I don't know why he couldn't just deliver them to his own house. Now with all the other stuff I got to take, I got to bring cookies for you. Pain in my neck.
I love it.
All right. So the new question for this week, which is for episode what, Ignacy? 239. I'm asking a geek question, maybe a geeky question, but it doesn't have to be. I'm asking our audience, because I need more shows to watch, what TV or streaming show that you have watched recently just made you go, wow, that was amazing? Or if you really can't come up with a wow moment for a show, what TV or streaming show that you have watched recently do you highly recommend for our other BGI listeners and watchers? Extra credit, of course, if it's a geeky show. Ignacy, do you have any wow moments on anything you've seen out there?
This month, I saw a lot of TV shows because Disney Plus entered Polish market. Of course, there was a Stranger Things this month as well. But I will go with a different answer because this Stranger Things is amazing, but it's obvious answer. So for not obvious answer, I would recommend the show that is on, I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Amazon?
Yep. And the show is Severance.
Severance. Okay, I don't know that one. Cool. I can't wait to look it up.
Science fiction, but no special effects, like low science fiction. Super disturbing, making you think, very interesting. So check it out, Severance.
Very good. And I have Amazon Prime. I got all of them, I guess. For me, I'm going to shout out The Orville, New Horizons. That's their third season. It's on Hulu only. I had a moment on that show, and Paula, we were watching it. We're like, oh my gosh, they are dealing with this issue. The Orville may be the best original Star Trek since the original Star Trek, right? I mean, that's what it's imitating. It's imitating Star Trek 1960s, Captain Kirk and stuff like that, using comedy, of course, but dealing with heavy topical things that are going on now. And in episode, I think it was 2, they're dealing with some, and I'm like, whoa, that is a great way of doing this. So the Orville, I cannot, in general, watch all of the Orville. It's fantastic, quasi-Star Trek science fiction, but just funny, fun, and also deep, deep topics that they bring up in the new season has just dropped on Hulu. We now ask all of you, and Ignacy is going to create a thread in our guild on Board Game Geek with episode 239 as the title. And we're asking you what TV show that you recently watched gave you that, wow, that was exciting moment. Or if you can't come up with that, what TV or streaming show have you watched recently that you highly recommend for all of us out there? Extra credit if it's a geeky show, of course, because we love the geek shows. And now I'm going to do the final scoring. Thank you so much for listening. Help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts, or now watch Board Games Insider on the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel. To ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment, you must post them in the correct thread in our guild on Board Game Geek. To answer our question to you from our playtesting segment, also go to our guild on Board Game Geek and look for the thread with this episode's question. Board Games Insider has a Facebook page, so please like us on Facebook. Also on Facebook, please like Ignacy's page and Steven's page, which is /PortalGamesUS and /PodfatherGaming. Our websites are Portal Games US and PodfatherGaming.com. Please go there and sign up for our newsletters. Get up to the minute information on what's happening at Portal Games and with the Podfather. On social media, you can speak directly to Ignacy and Steven. On Twitter, it's @PortalGamesUS and @PodfatherGaming. On Instagram, it's the same. The YouTube channels of note here are Portal Games Movies, Portal Games Gameplays, and The Podfather of Gaming. On TikTok, Portal Games US for Ignacy. We look forward to seeing you. Dice Tower East first, maybe WBC if you'll be there. BGG at C, and Gen Con. Those are the big upcoming within the next less than 2 months, all of those conventions. Board Games Insider, professionally edited by Matthew Jude from This Game is Broken podcast. He has to deal with Ignacy and I. What a guy. And if you'd like him to edit your podcast, please contact him on Twitter or email at thisgameisbrokenpodcast@gmail.com. Also, that great voice you hear doing the intro, outro, and in-between segments is not Bonacor. It's that of Ray Greenlee. He can be contacted to do voiceover work at raygreenleevoiceover.com. Ignacy, the one thing I want to mention, of course, again, is the BGI meetup Saturday noon at Dice Tower East, right outside the main tower. Beer, soda, crokinole, pizza. Come have lunch with us on Saturday at noon. I also wanted to again mention Luke Petterschmidt at Office Dog. His email address is lpetterschmidt, that's PETERSCHMIDT at asmodee.na.com or on Twitter as lpetterschmidt. You can catch him, and he wants to hear from you if you've got a game design to pitch to him that would be applicable to a IP that Embracer or Fantasy Flight owns. Asmodee owns, I should say. Ignacy, anything else to add?
We wish you amazing upcoming week. We hear you next week, and then next time we record with Steven, we are recording from the Dice Tower East face to face. We didn't do it for years now, so I'm very excited. There's gonna be additional amazing, crazy energy in that show.
There will be. Maybe we'll even do it in a public area and just invite people over. I think that would be fun.
It may happen.
I think so. Everybody, you have a great week. We'll see you next time.